Subscriber alert, subscriber alert! Your friendly neighborhood YouTuber is rated A for awesome. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and you're welcome. Enjoy.
The Maxx, ruler of the jungle, scourge of the city.
A few women who can't take care of themselves get messed with, and you ride to the rescue. Who are you to assume responsibility for their lives?
I am the Maxx. Turn-ons, Piz, cheers, and justice. You killed my hostage. You killed my hostage. You killed my hostage! Turn-offs, serial murderers. Don't you lovely ladies have something you could be doing right now? Vicious sharp-fang parasites, bubble baths, journey to worlds undreamt of. With the Maxx, you've never seen a hero with feet this big.
What's up, everyone? It's your friendly neighborhood YouTuber, guys. Alright, I'm glad you guys can join me here today. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing a kind of a deep dive into the character named Maxx. So we're going to be taking a look at the first issue of the Maxx, and then we're going to be taking a look at the first action figure that was made by McFarlane Toys way back in 1994. Now, the character himself, the overall story lasted for about 20 issues. There are other stories of the Maxx, and then there are other spin-offs of the Maxx. So, essentially, what the Maxx is, the Maxx actually really doesn't exist. The Maxx only exists in the mind of a character named Julie Winters. Julie Winters is a woman who has repressed memories. She's had a lot of bad experiences throughout her younger life, and to cope with real life, she looks at real people in a fantasy type way, in another worldly dimensional kind of way, kind of like multiverse kind of way before the multiverse. She calls it the Outback. And so Maxx is actually based on the real person. He's actually based on a homeless person that she befriends. The story is very, very complex. It's very deep and it's very dark. So for McFarlane to make an action figure out of this in 1994, and for him to be so colorful and so purple and so vibrant like a kid's toy, there is a deep, dark story behind the Maxx with so many complex, intricate details, and it's really a story about mental problems, mental abuse, psychological issues. And it's a really, really amazing, complex story. If you guys ever have a chance, there's numerous videos on the Maxx on YouTube. If you want, you can check out the first 20 comics of the Maxx, which focuses on the Maxx and Julie Winters. But we're gonna do, like I said, we're gonna take a brief look at the comic book. We're not going to get too deep into the story. Of course, the Maxx comes with a little synopsis right here of the story himself. And we're going to take a look at this action figure because this is an action figure review channel. So sit back, relax, and let's do some reviewing. Alright guys, welcome back to the show. Alright guys, so we're going to be doing a double feature for you today. So we're going to be taking a look at the review of the comic book, the first issue of the Maxx from back in the day. We're not going to get too deep into the story. Like I said, there's a little synopsis right here on the back of the Maxx. We'll do a little read up, and then after that we'll take a look at the action figure itself. For those who don't want to, take a look at any of the comic book art or the little comic book review that I'm going to do in the beginning, you can always jump forward to the action figure review. But here's a little synopsis on the Maxx. So, though he thinks he's a typical superhero, Maxx is homeless and lives in a dumpster in New York, relying on handouts from Julie Winters. A social worker out of her home, Maxx dreams of another reality where he's a hero in an imaginary land similar to the Australian outback. On their adventures in the outback real world, these characters encounter Mr. Gone, a caped figure who perpetuates crime on women with the help of small creatures called Izzes. Now, there's a very complex story behind the Maxx. So we're going to take a look at the Maxx. And here are all the characters, guys. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge Spawn fan. I've pretty much reviewed almost every single one of these figures that you see in front of you right here. I did reviews of all of them. If you guys want to check them out, they are in my McFarlane playlist. So go ahead and check those out. So let's take a quick glimpse at the Maxx. Now, speaking of the Izzes, this is one of the Izzes. What the Izzes are is actually some of Julie Winter's like tormented memories that nag at the Maxx and try to, influence her, try to take over her mind. So that's what these isms are. They're not really friends of the Maxx. They're just kind of deep, dark, evil thoughts that creep into her real life, or actually that creep into her fantasy life, into her mind to disrupt her real life, and they antagonize the Maxx. So essentially that's what the isms are. I know, it's pretty deep. So here is the Maxx. We're going to take a quick look at this beautiful comic book right here. And we're just going to take a look at some of the amazing artwork. Here are some of the artists responsible. Sam Keith, amazing story. He did the story, he did the pencils, he did the ink for the Maxx. So essentially he is the creator of the Maxx. So he's living in a cardboard box in the alley. And it's just the amazing artwork, man. It's just absolutely incredible. And the story of Julie Winters, too, is very, very complex. So a lot of this story that you see is kind of taking place in her mind. The Maxx, he might be in real life as a homeless person. He might have mental issues as well. So they might be experiencing the same story together in their mind. But that's uncertain because it's really left up to the interpreter. Here's their image advertising some of their stories. Shadowhawk is another amazing character right there. So Maxx is essentially, he doesn't really have any superpowers. He just has kind of super strength, and that's pretty much it. And that's what he is. He's just kind of a figment of Julie Winter's imagination. And so this is where he's at. Great, where the heck am I now? And he's in Julie Winter's imagination. They did have trading cards too, right here. And so she, in her mind, is referred to as the Leopard Queen, right there, or the Jungle Queen. And Maxx is kind of referred to as the Jungle King, I believe, in the world, in her realm, in her mind realm, called the Outback. And just amazing artwork. It's a really, really interesting and intriguing story. For those out there who like complex stories and are looking for like an interesting read, I definitely recommend the Maxx. And so all this right here is pretty much happening in real life, but except she's seeing Maxx through her own eyes as this purple figure with these big shoes. Where the big feet comes from is actually she had found a rabbit when she was younger on the side of the road, which she took care of, and eventually her mom, I think, put the rabbit to sleep, put him out of his misery because he was too far gone, and that's where the big feet come from. The face for the Maxx is actually based on a lampshade. So and there's a couple of stories. So the Maxx is based on numerous stories throughout Julie Winter's life, encountering a person on the side of the road that she hit and put a lampshade on his head or something. I can't remember how the story goes. The Maxx is actually based on her bunny rabbit, so it's a repressed memory from her past. So when she looks at the Maxx, she looks at her bunny rabbit, and a combination of things that she's experienced in her life, a lot of repressed memories. And then there's that right there, and then the Outback, her realm in her mind is called the Outback, and the reason why is because her uncle used to tell her stories of the Outback. And then here is Mr. Gone right here, and Mr. Gone is actually portrayed by her uncle, and her uncle actually has evil, is actually a good person to her, but does evil things that she's not aware of, but kind of lives like numerous lives, kind of like a Jeffrey Dahmer. Her uncle is. He's a serial killer. He does bad things, but he treats Julie Winters like, you know, a good niece, like a niece, and he's there for her and he supports her. But her uncle really is really an evil person. So he's really her uncle, even though he's good in the real world. For some reason, in the Outback, her uncle is portrayed as a very, very evil man, which that kind of comes to the conclusion towards the end. And she comes to find out that her uncle is the evil one out of all the things that she's been through that, you know, she thought had good intentions for her, was actually doing a lot of evil things behind her back. It's a very complex story. This is issue number 2 right here. It's a great read. Check it out. Let's get to the action figure review. So this is from 1994, guys. Yeah, let's pop it open. If you guys enjoyed that little synopsis right there, I just want to say thank you. I'm just trying to do something different on my channel. So let's open it up. From 1994, take a look at the Maxx. And I wanted to do a comic book synopsis because there's really nothing much to this guy right here. There's a lot of... you know, he's just a big purple guy, and I feel like the story itself is more interesting than the character of the Maxx. So that's why I wanted to do a comic book review, because a lot of you guys may not be familiar with the Maxx himself. So let's take this out right here. Actually, let's jump forward. Okay, guys, so here is the Maxx out of package, and here is this little headdress right here that you kind of peg into his head. I don't know why they just didn't sculpt it to his head to begin with, but it goes onto his head like this, like that. And so the feathers come from, like, being that it's based in Australia. It's Aboriginal feathers for the Maxx, and he's got the big rabbit teeth, or kind of, I think, based on the lampshade. Can't really remember how, where in her memories the image came from the Maxx. I know the big feet are big rabbit feet because of the rabbit that she had when she was younger that she found on the side of the road. But yeah, this was a toy from back in the 90s, man, which is insane. Here's his little ism. So the izzes, should I say, represents Julie Winters' tormented memories, repressed memories that try to come after her in her real life and also in the Outback, and that mess with her mind, as a lot of us do. I guess you can say, I guess the best way to put it is we all deal with demons, right? We all have these demons that we try to control, and you know, sometimes they get the best of us. That's what this guy is, kind of like one of her demons coming and trying to torment her and kind of take over and ruin her day, you know, and mess with her memories, you know, repressed memories. So yeah, there's nothing much to this guy. There is the Maxx. So a simple articulation, arms up and down, head movement, just a tilt right there, and legs. Just got these legs right here. It's a really, really interesting figure. And this guy is not hard to find, but he's pretty pricey. I mean, if you were to buy him on the market, he's like around $40 to $60. If you were to find him loose, he'd probably be like around $20. The reason why is because he's a very complex character, and he's a very, very interesting character, you know, and he didn't have much of a long run in the comics. And he has a really, really amazing story. And there's an amazing story behind this guy. So let's do let's do a quick measurement of the Maxx. We'll do some comparisons, why not? So the Maxx stands, we'll say, all the way up to the top of his head. We'll say about 5 inches, just a little under 5.5 inches. The ism, little ism, he's not even, he's at, I don't know, almost 1.5 inches. We'll say 1.5 inches. So let's do some quick comparisons, guys. It's going to be hard because the Maxx is not that big. So let's see. How about my custom Batman Spawn figure? Why not? Keep it in the McFarlane theme. That's how he measures up with him. And how about, speaking of, how about let's do a little custom of my Nightmare Spawn right there because he's all dressed in purple. Why not? So there you guys have it. There was my little review, my little comic book review, action figure review of the Maxx. If you guys tuned in to hear this story, I definitely recommend it if you are an avid comic book reader or you just want to hear some interesting story. And if you're somebody who's dealt with like depression and anxiety and insomnia like myself, I definitely recommend it. It definitely makes you think about life and about the complexity of the human mind. So I didn't mean to get that deep with a toy review, but there you guys have it. Let me know how you guys feel about this character, about his story. Did you learn something new? I just want to thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next review. Peace out.